draw for libraries. Well, my experience happened in 1995, and I was living in Key West, Florida, and I flew up to see my daughter who was in Daytona Beach, and we were going to go shopping, and then I was going to fly home, right? So I was also at that time, I was managing the Navy Flying Club at the Naval Air Station in Boca Chica in Key West, Florida. So I was flying out of there, and I was flying an airplane, a Piper Warrior, that actually belonged to the Navy Flying Club. And the pilots, some of the jet pilots had told us at different meetings that there's a dead airspace between the Florida Keys and mainland. And everybody says, dead airspace, what does that mean? You know, you just drop it. What that means is that there's no radio connection. And these pilots are aware of this dead airspace. Now, whether that, and that's all kind of in the Bermuda Triangle too. And whether they're connected, I don't know. But the pilots are cognizant of this dead airspace. And they says, don't get scared, don't worry. You know, eventually you'll hear somebody on the radio, which is always nice to know, right? So, coming back, I had an experience, and everybody says, well, how long was the experience, you know, exactly what happened, and all these questions, and I really don't have an answer. I don't know how long I was lost. I don't know what the cause of it was. There's one gentleman that I met, and his name is Bruce Gernon, and we met on some television shows, and he thinks that I was attacked by a magnetic fog. Now, whether I was or I wasn't, I don't know. But all I know is that it was the most terrifying experience that I've ever had. And you ask, well, how terrifying was it? Well, it was so terrifying, I didn't have words for it. And when I finally landed my airplane at the Naval Air Station, I had to pry my hands off of the yoke of the airplane, and I couldn't hardly walk. My knees were just shaking. And as part of flying at night, you're supposed to have at least 45 minutes of fuel. Well, I got into a little bit of trouble because my tank was almost empty. You know, so that's another scary thing. Because when you're flying, because if anybody's aware of the Florida Keys, it's just a chain of islands, a lot of ocean. You know. Now, when I first started flying, I started flying in Oklahoma, which has a lot of cow fields. So if you have engine trouble, you just land in a cow field. Well, I had friends ask me, they says, Cary, aren't you afraid? You know, flying in the Keys, and it's like, wow, maybe I should be afraid over all this water, because there's, you know, nothing there but sharks, you know, there's no cows. You know. So anyway, I barely made it into the Naval Air Station. So that tells you that I did lose some time in my flight, and whatever happened to me. I didn't talk to anybody about it. Like I said, I just didn't have the words to explain what happened to me. And several years later, I married Bill, and I was telling, you know, and all of a sudden, well, there was a plane accident, and it really bothered me because I could almost relate to what was going to happen, and the 3 people died in it. And I started having nightmares and regressing back to my experience. And so I told Bill, and he said, boy, you've got to write this down. So I did, and I submitted it to Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, which is a big, if you're a pilot, you want to belong to AOPA. It's international, it's very big. And I was really kind of surprised that they bought my story. And 2 weeks after it was published, I get a call from Hollywood. And it was the Learning Channel. And they says, well, somebody told us we needed to read your article because we're doing a show on the Bermuda Triangle. So it's like, oh, you don't want to talk to me. You know, no. And so anyway, they convinced me to meet him in Miami. And they did it. I was in and that was my first one. And since then, I've been on Sci-Fi, and I've been on National Geographic, and I've been on Discovery. Now, I do have a website, and I'm so excited about it because it was designed by a local here in Panama, Paulo Zanaboni. And he's also working on the one for you, isn't he, for the, right here. And he redesigned my website. Oops, it disappeared. Yeah, there it is. And if you go on to BermudaTriangleSurvivor.com, you can see the videos of video clips of some of the shows I was on. And it also has my story that I wrote that was published in the OPA. So, after being on all these television shows, I hear all of these different, concepts of what's causing the Bermuda Triangle. And what amazes me about the Bermuda Triangle is that they've been searching and searching and searching for Flight 19. I mean, that's a biggie, that all these airplanes went down and they haven't, nobody's found anything. So I'm a big believer in quantum physics, and I read a lot about parallel universes and this sort of thing, and I'm thinking, well, what if that's an unstable wormhole? And that's where everything is going. I mean, like I said, they're not finding anything, and scientists have proven that there's close to, I think that they've got 12 dimensions right now. So there is parallel universes out there. It is feasible, it is possible, and it is a fact. And so that's when I decided to write the Bermuda Triangle Pathway to Atlantis, because nobody's ever been able to find Atlantis either, right? So what if Atlantis created a parallel universe at some point when the Earth was in trouble, and this parallel universe is where the city of Atlantis is, and they're connected with an umbilical cord to Gaia, to Mother Earth. And then, I don't want to tell you all my story, but then when I wrote this, I was retired. I'm a certified public accountant, and I decided I don't want to do double debits and credits anymore. So I wanted to do something with the environment, and so I found St. Mary's of the Woods College had a really interesting master's program on Earth literacy / global sustainability. So I went back to school, and while I was learning, I mean, it was such an amazing course, and I learned so much about Mother Gaia, our planet. And I have to laugh at people saying, save the planet. The planet's going to be fine. It's been around for millions and millions and billions of years. It's like, maybe we ought to save the Homo sapiens sapiens, because the planet will survive. And so, anyway, and then I'm really into, the saving of, or the extraction of fossil fuels has got to be doing some damage. And our planet, it is fragile. It will survive, but it is fragile. And when you look at the construction of the Earth, it's a molten lava in the middle, right? And then you have these tectonic plates, and they're moving, right? In fact, in Panama, we have, I think we're the only place in the world that has 4 tectonic plates that meet. And in my book, it's like right at Peru. But we're the only place in the world where 4 tectonic plates meet. And there's lots of, like they talk about up in Seattle that there's going to be a tsunami there. Because what happens is, in my thinking, is that these tectonic plates are moving in, and when they nudge each other, they're going to cause an underwater earthquake, which will cause tsunamis. So that's kind of where my book is, because what's happening is all this offshore drilling is disturbing the tectonic plates, and it's destroying our planet, and to a certain extent, and it's causing tsunamis. And then the people in Atlantis, on the parallel universe, they don't care if the Earth blows up or not, but they're worried about their little universe, and so that's where it's at. So, any questions? Yes?
Could you perhaps, for my sake and for the audience, give us a review of the Bermuda Triangle lore, if you will, the squadron of planes that disappeared and all that whole business?
Well, it's been going on probably, I'll have to ask my husband here, about 300 years, Bill. Things have been disappearing.
What, can you give us the 3 points at the time?
They, from Bermuda down into Florida and over to the Bahamas and back. Is where things were like. And a lot of it may have been, with the magnetic forces too. Yeah, because for us to keep going here.
Cary, would you comment about your understanding of quantum physics and what your studies have led you to think about how that sort of correlates to the triangle and beyond?
Well, like I said with my book, you know, I heard a lot of different reasons of why the Bermuda Triangle exists. Methane gas, you know, magnetic forces, this sort of thing. Well, I watch a lot of Michio Kaku. It's my first time ever doing it.
Well, that was wonderful.
¿Se acuerdan que seguía? Íbamos a hablar de la lectura de la escritura.
Yo te vi